afternoon. Welcome to Special Report. Just had a little technical issue there with the phone as we're about to go on air. But we're good. We're good now. We're all set. So good afternoon.
Caught you red-handed, eh?
Yeah, literally.
Wasn't me.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Special Report. I'd like to thank KC Securities for sponsoring us, both us now and also in the morning at 8 a.m. I'm Chris Oldcorn, and I'm with Colette Linden. How's it going?
Who just shaked the intro?
Yeah. Who was calling you?
I'm sorry. No, I don't know. I'm sorry, whoever. I just had to decline.
You just hung up on, basically.
I did. I apologize.
Nice friend. Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't your mom, or she'd really be mad.
Hi, Mom. Sorry. The premiere is coming out in 2 minutes as
Yes.
we see our man. Do you want to do quick weather then before?
Yes.
Because we do have a rock story, but I kind of want to wait till after the premiere.
Nice day today, going up to 21. We're actually at 21 right now. That's our high. Also, we're looking at a low of 8. It's going to be a little windy, but tomorrow is looking fantastic. Also 21 with a low of 7. And then Thursday, 22 with a low of 8. So we are in our low 20s, which is kind of where we should be at this time of year.
And
so it is nice to be able to get some warm weather.
Tell them your good news.
Oh, yes. I have an actual delivery date that it's actually the parcel is out for delivery for my shorts, which means I'm getting them a day early from the third time that they bumped the delivery into the future. I'm actually getting a day early. So now I guess I'm supposed to be excited because I'm getting it a day early.
Well, yeah. So now he said
Even
he's
though
going to wear them
originally
tomorrow.
I was supposed to get them on the 8th, and
That's
it's the
quite
19th.
a delay, eh? Who'd you order from?
That
from the
order was
website?
from Hudson's Bay, yeah.
Well, he said he's going to be wearing them tomorrow, and we'll show.
However, I did order some short sleeve shirts, and they're supposed to be here at the end of the week, and I only ordered them on Saturday, so yeah.
That's weird. Maybe somebody found your package, tried on your shorts, decided they didn't like them, and put them
Yeah,
back
maybe
in.
there's somebody else.
It's possible. So the Minister of Education is going to be joining the premiere today.
Stephen Lecce,
We both.
yeah.
Well, I feel that he's just going to say, "Yo, kids, not till September."
Yeah, I don't see at this point any reason. Actually,
No.
Doug Ford is coming out, so we're going to throw over to Doug Ford right now.
Well, good afternoon. The safety of our children is my top priority. And one thing I will never do is take unnecessary risk when it comes to our children. And that's why, after careful consideration, after consulting with the health experts, it is clear that we cannot open schools at this time. I'm just not going to risk it. This wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was the right decision. We've made the decision to put our kids' safety first. And at the same time, we have a plan to ensure that our children's education can continue outside of the classroom. At-home learning will continue. All students from grades K to 12 will receive their report cards. We're doing everything possible to make sure our students have the opportunity to graduate this year. And we're working hard to ensure that child care centers will begin to open safely once we get to stage 2 of reopening. We'll make sure we support parents returning to their jobs as workplaces are ready to reopen. I also know that many of our kids are eagerly awaiting to find out if they'll be able to go to camp this summer. I know many parents are looking for certainty when it comes to summer plans. So today, we're also providing an update on summer camps. Overnight camps will remain closed. Unfortunately, we just can't have camps with 500 kids living together right now. I know this will be tough for many kids who look forward to their overnight camps. But there's some good news. Based on the best advice of our health experts, as long as trends continue to improve, summer day
Welcome back. Some technical difficulty there
Yes.
for CPAC.
CPAC has gone down.
It has gone down, but
It
I
is-
think it's probably a bunch of parents that just
Uh-oh.
logged in.
Yeah, it's probably the servers were overwhelmed. CPAC is.
We
Yeah.
will go back to the premier if he does come back. If the,
Yeah.
the feed comes back, we will go back. Okay, let's talk
Yes.
quickly about what he just said. So schools are closed for the remainder of the year, which
Yes.
a
Your
smart
kid will get their
decision.
report card still.
Yes.
So that's good.
Grade
I
8
mean,
through 12.
yeah, I guess I guess what is the report card too? Like the end, like March break, I guess.
Well, I know my
Are they
son in
gonna-
grade
are they
12 is
gonna-
still doing his courses, and then I don't know how they're grading them.
Because I thought
far-
they said that something about like the online work wouldn't really affect your grade or something.
I heard too that it was your midterm mark. Well, they were close to their midterms because high school. Oh, sorry, we are going to send
Ford
it
is
back to Ford.
CPAC is back up now.
Schools will remain closed until the end of June. We will act to keep students safe. Nous prendrons des mesures pour veiller à la sécurité des élèves. Our plan is about ensuring students remain safe from COVID-19 and ensure that they remain learning while at home. As students remain home, we've strengthened our Learn at Home program and our expectations. We want to recognize those educators who have stepped up to support students. And I know many parents and some students have also been clear to government that they want to see this type of support being more consistent. It's why we continue to insist on the standardization of live dynamic learning, also known as synchronous learning, to help give your children a sense of community with their educators and their friends. I've also seen firsthand how powerful this interaction can be. In this tough circumstance, we have to give students that sense of community, that face-to-face, real-time experience, where teachers interact by voice and video with their students. The opportunity to see their peers, to challenge assumptions, to learn new skills using the best technology available to us. It makes the difference. Now, during this closure period, we've also taken action by leveraging supports and the ingenuity of nonprofits and businesses through the Ontario Together initiative. 34 approved initiatives to enhance support for students, to provide free access to new learning resources, and to deliver reliable internet connectivity. Low-cost, high-impact solutions that have been identified and negotiated to support school boards on their important work. We're also scaling up our summer learning program. Although schools will remain closed for the remainder of the 2019-20 school year, more students than ever before will enjoy greater opportunities to learn and earn valuable credits through our new, robust Ontario Summer Learning Plan. We've identified 7 areas of focus that will provide learning both in class and virtually, and it's on a voluntary basis. We've also enhanced supports in places for vulnerable children, for kids with disabilities, with exceptionalities, mental health challenges, students from the First Nation community, LGBTQ community, and Black students. Support for them so that they can get ahead with the resources they deserve. School boards will be administering the programs, so parents are encouraged to speak with them over the coming weeks to voluntarily sign up. Now, we also recognize that daycare and childcare is vital to our recovery. Following advice from the Chief Medical Officer of Health, licensed childcare centers and early on programs will also remain closed through the stage 1, the stage we are in today. Emergency childcare will continue for healthcare and for frontline workers during this period. Looking forward, as the Premier noted, we will gradually reopen childcare as part of stage 2 once it is safe to do so. We will reopen childcare with strict health protocols to keep our youngest learners safe. Now, on top of this, our government, led by Minister Smith, will allow the opening of summer day camps so students can enjoy both indoor and outdoor activity. It will require local health approval and new guidelines will be imposed to ensure their safety. As we look forward to September, I want parents to know that we will be introducing new protocols, new standards to ensure students can return to class safely. We will announce that plan for September's reopening before the end of this school year, following continued guidance by the Chief Medical Officer of Health. I just want to take a moment to thank Sick Kids for also sharing perspective on today's plan, for providing critical guidance on our strategy to safely reopen schools. And if I may, just for a moment, just to students of this province, I know this will feel different, and I know it is not easy on you. But I have every confidence, we have every confidence in you, in your energy, in your determination, and the spirit of this province best embraced by the sons and daughters of Ontario, our next generation. Thank you.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. Just one reminder that it's one question, one follow-up. First question.
First question comes from Chris Rushowy from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Chris.
High, we've been hearing from parents with special needs students who are particularly struggling at this time. They say the government needs to take a leading role in making sure that their children are being served during the school shutdown. Given that it's going to last now until the end of the school year, what is the government doing to help these families and ensuring that school boards are meeting their needs?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll hand this over to the Minister of Education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. I absolutely agree with the premise that, these families are going to need more support now more than ever to support their children, enable them to learn while they're at home. And, we have great concern about these children. We want to make sure all kids with exceptionalities are able to get ahead, get the support they need. So there's a few things we are doing and a few new initiatives we are introducing, especially as we lead into the summer. The first is we've put out an expectation to our boards of education that every single mental health and special education resource that is funded in this province is fully unlocked to support our kids. What that means is that they're for EAs, for psychologists and psychotherapists, for social workers, which there are hundreds across this province, our expectation, and we know in many cases this is the case, that those members are supporting those families. They're providing as much support as humanly possible to offset that challenge for those parents. The second thing we're doing in the summer, as we look forward, is announcing a new program of support for kids with ASD, for children on the autism spectrum. There's a 2-week specialized program that also will be extended to kids with special education and mental health challenges. This program for both, for all those constituencies, is going to help them reacclimatize themselves back to school. It's really focused on behavior and communication. And that 2-week program will be led by health professionals and by professionals within our school board. So it's these types of initiatives to ensure that they are ready to start, successfully able to start school in September, that is a focus, as well as the fact that the government is working very closely with the Minister's Special Advisory Council on Special Education. We're working with the Education Standards Accessibility Committee to ensure that there are higher standards and more standardization of the experience so that all parents in Ontario get the support they deserve.
Follow up?
Yes, thanks. Minister, could you also talk a little bit about the kinds of things that you're considering for when school does eventually reopen? Are you looking at social distancing, temperature checks? In the U.S., some jurisdictions are considering keeping elementary teachers with the same students to provide continuity. What measures are being discussed here in Ontario?
What we are doing is working very closely with the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We've also introduced another opportunity for perspective from the leadership team of Sick Kids to help guide how we reopen schools. It is obvious that schools will not look the same, that we have to reimagine education in some respects in September, given that there will have to be some protocol changes, distancing, even with respect to movement of children for going outside. All these types of considerations are being made as we speak. And as I mentioned earlier, we will unveil the full plan for reopening schools safely by the end of this school year, meaning before the end of June. We will unveil a plan of how that will look, what those types of impacts will be, and additional educational supports we're going to unveil to help our kids succeed next year.
Next question.
Next question comes from Lucas Meyer from News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for taking our questions once again. Premier, why did you decide to do this for the whole province and not do some sort of project for areas of the province that don't have as serious cases as, for example, a place like Toronto? Why a blank decision for the whole province as opposed to some areas that could have perhaps done some sort of teaching?
So you're talking about education, Lucas?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, you know something, Lucas? I'm just not going to chance it. I'm just not going to chance it when it comes to our kids. We know that people travel all across this province, and in the summer they even travel more. And I understand what you're saying. Some areas don't have any COVID cases, but why chance it for a few weeks? It's just not worth it. And when it comes to our children, I've said many times, I am not going to chance anything.
And as a follow-up, in terms of what this means now moving forward in terms of financial support, I know the minister mentioned earlier today, referenced the $200, the $250, payments that have been made. Is the province now going to commit even further financial supports directly to parents because of this?
Well, right now we've put everything on the table, and we're always open, but As of right now, we're reviewing everything day by day, week by week. So I can't give you a definite no or a definite yes, but I can tell you everything's on the table all the time.
Next question.
Next question comes from Alison Jones from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Oh, hi, Premier, or perhaps for Minister Lecce. I know Chris was asking about measures that you're looking at for the return of school in September, but before that, if childcare centers open up in stage 2, which could be as early as, I guess, 2 weeks away if everything goes well, what sort of measures are you looking at for childcare centers and also the day camps that could run in the summer?
Absolutely. With respect to day camps, the decision point to reopen them will be made requiring the local health officer's approval. And obviously, as was communicated, that could happen in July and in August. With respect to childcare, we are going to maintain the emergency childcare that is supporting our frontline workers in stage 1. We are going to phase out of that and reopen childcare, at least is the intention, so long as the data continues to move in the right direction. But the idea is we impose very strict guidelines, working with the Deputy Premier, the Minister of Health, and the COVID command table to come up with protocols and make sure that your children, the earliest learners in these centers, remain safe. And those protocols currently include no more than 50 people per center. Every staffer has to be screened. No individual outside of the staff member or the child is able to enter these centers. There is strict screening protocols in place. And obviously, there has to be an outbreak plan supported and approved by the local health officer. That is what exists today. And I can say that overall, we're seeing an element of success in keeping the critical mass of these kids safe, and that is so important. And when there have been outbreaks, there have been action taken according to those guidelines. So that's going to inform the decision on the next step. We're working with the health, with the command table on the next step. But I think that is a framework we will be using or looking at using to guide the reopening plan. We're going to give notice to our operators that they can prepare accordingly. But the bottom line is we want to make sure that parents can return to the labor market with confidence that there is a strong, strict safety regime in place that keeps these kids safe.
And for the Premier, does it concern you that on the very day Ontario officially enters stage 1 of reopening, we see a jump in reported new cases?
Well, again, we keep an eye on it day by day, as you know, and so does our health table, and sometimes you see a little bit of peak, but overall, we want to see consistency over a 2-week period of cases going down. But every day is concerning to all of us.
Next question.
Next question comes from Jenny Yen at Toronto Sun. Please go ahead.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Premier. I'll be speaking with a pet store owner who says that a pet spa owner rather, who says that she's lost 70% of her revenues since the closure. And so now that businesses are slowly reopening, small businesses say that the government, they want the government to impose a commercial rent freeze during the recovery period, as she's facing a 30% increase, which she can't handle. Is the province prepared to do something like that?
Well, again, we're waiting for the federal government. It was supposed to be this week. Now I understand it's next week, and that's not a shot against the federal government. They're stepping up to the plate, offering close to $1 billion of subsidy when it comes to rent. As we mentioned, it's up to the landlords and the tenants to work this out. The tenants have to pay 25%, government's paying 50%, and the landlord's paying 25%. Now we'll see how the landlords react. I'm trying to avoid bringing down the hammer on these landlords. I want to make sure people work things out. And I've always said to the landlords, it's better to have someone in there and you're getting 75% rent, 50% covered by the government, than no rent at all. And it's not like they have a lineup of businesses waiting to get into their facility. Plus they have to pay for the upkeep of the building as well. So I think it's a great proposal from the feds and ourselves, actually, to help businesses out.
Follow up?
And this particular small business owner says that her landlord in particular isn't keen on applying for the Canada Emergency Commercial Rent Assistance, which would help them get rent and also reduce the impact of small business tenants.
Yeah.
So they're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Do you have any sort of suggestions for people that do run these small businesses that are suffering at this stage?
Well, first of all, I want to do everything I can to support the small businesses as we have over the last close to 2 years by giving them a reduction in their overall taxes by 8.75%, reducing WSIB premiums by $1.9 billion. And I could list them all off, but I understand. What can we do right this second? Well, a message to all these landlords. Don't force my hand. Don't force my hand. Work things out, because I'm trying to compromise here. We're giving you 75% of what you're asking for. And like I said last week, nothing drives me more crazy than greedy landlords taking advantage of people and small business owners that are just trying to keep their head above water. So let's see what happens when the federal government rolls this out next week. Let's see how the landlords react. But again, I'm trying to be fair, but don't push me. These big landlords want to take advantage of small little companies and people that are struggling. I'm going to come down on them like they've never seen before. Cooperate. It's not going to be forever. It's going to be for a few months. Help people out. You have an obligation to do that as a landlord.
Next question.
Next question comes from Mike Crawley at CBC News. Please go ahead.
And welcome back. We apologize for that. The CPAC stream crashed, probably from all the parents trying to figure out what is going to be happening with their kids.
And all the students too going, yes, is that real? Is that real?
Luckily, the Premier has a channel as well on YouTube, and we were able to pick up the feed from there, so we apologize for that. But some very interesting things going on there.
Yeah, we let
not
the
unexpected, though.
No,
not unexpected.
We let the questions roll a little bit longer today, too, because it's a key issue, and I know that many of you watching are interested in that. I'm extremely interested in this.
Yeah, it's like, what do we do with our kids? Now we kind of have an idea. They're not going to overnight camp, and they're not going back to school.
Right, that's right. That's great. So also, we're talking about if you take a week's vacation, you drive, say you wherever you might be going, if say it's to Toronto, Southern Ontario, you come back, your kid goes to camp the following week. So there could be transmission issues. Like, do you get everyone tested? Do the kids have to be tested before they go into the camps or daycare centers? I mean, I don't know what the logistics behind all this is, but it's definitely a lot to deal with. But the Premier's got his hand on it, so.
It's definitely a logistical nightmare, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at the amount of kids that are actually in the school system, you add in the teachers and educational assistants, janitors, all the administrative support staff. It's a big thing to be able to figure out how to take kids back to school safely, and they're going to have some time to figure that out because now they got till September.
Yeah. Well, classroom size has always been an issue, a hot topic.
Well, that was the whole thing with the teacher strike was class size.
Right.
And so, it looks like that's definitely not going to be an issue. Now it's probably class sizes are probably going to go in the reverse direction.
Where are they putting these kids?
I'm going to say portables.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
They have time to construct portables between now and when the school year starts. I mean, they got basically about, they've got 3 full months plus the end of May to build portables and put them out.
That's true. And the resources are there. They're going to have to tap into their spare teachers or their part-time teaching staff. So that's good news for for the part-time teachers.
It's very good for those of you graduating from Teachers College right now.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It is.
It might be the best time ever to graduate from Teachers College because class sizes could theoretically go down to even as little as 12 kids in the class.
This won't be short-term. This will be a long-term.
No, this is going to be a longer-term issue for sure.
For sure.
At least for another school year, I would think.
Which
means they're going to need, if you go down from an average class size of 22 down to 12, you're almost doubling the amount of teachers
Absolutely.
you need. And then classes like kindergarten where the kids just will not understand what social distancing means, they're going to need extra educational assistance in those classes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's going to have to be more basically everything. You're going to need more janitors because you're going to have to clean more, disinfecting and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know my apartment building, they They clean all the doors.
Mine too. It's so clean. It smells great. Yeah.
They're doing it 5 times a day in my building.
I even noticed in the banks too, when you go to use the bank machine, you could smell the bleach and stuff like that. So people are very proactive.
We're starting to get used to the smell of Lysol. I mean, it's now the scent of the nation right now.
Okay, well, we have to move on. We can talk about this, but you have stuff to update. I have one thing. Actually, just quickly, a Highway 17 accident that I referred to this morning, Chris. They did release a name. It was a 55-year-old man from Sudbury. His name is Calvin Mendigo, M-A-N-D-I-G-O. I apologize if I'm not saying that properly. He lost control of his sedan. He entered the ditch, rolled over several times, and was ejected from the vehicle. So that was an update from the OPP at about just before noon today that I wanted just to share, but it is on the newscast as well.
Yes, I drove by that accident yesterday. Way after it had happened, I was driving back, and I saw the car. I mean, it was a long way away from the road. I mean, that thing must have, I don't know how fast they were going, but that had to have been going somewhere like super ridiculously fast.
They did mention in an earlier release that speed played a factor, but again,
how
it's not.
far it was off the road, it had to. I mean, it was so far off the road, like it was like, it probably spun 20 times to get to where it was. It was so far off the road, my girlfriend and I weren't even sure if it was the car in the accident.
Really?
Yeah, if it looked like just, and it was completely crushed. The entire windows were gone, like the roof was crushed all the way down right to the door.
Awful. That's awful.
It's amazing to me if anyone actually walked away from that.
No, I think he was the only one in the car, so it doesn't look like it.
But yeah.
So you have some updates for us. Why don't we move on to our COVID updates?
Yes. Dr. Samantha Hill, who is the head of the Ontario Medical Association, had a family medical emergency this morning, so she will not be on my show tonight at 7. We've rescheduled the interview for later in the week, so I apologize for that, and I hope that her son is feeling better and that the x-rays went well. Also, we have in Algoma 3 new cases, as we mentioned. One's from international travel. We'll see what happens over the next few days. This was a big weekend. We're hoping people didn't go out and gather in big groups because we're going to see a rise in cases in 10 days to 2 weeks when the Premier will be deciding whether or not we'll be starting to reopen more things. Will we keep it the status quo, or are we going to have to put in restrictions again? For those of you who want to go shopping, retail stores as of today are available and open. There will be very strict social distancing rules. You can only go into retail stores that aren't in malls. And there'll be plenty of hand sanitizer. There has to be hand sanitizer not only at the door when you go in, but also in several spots throughout the actual store as well. And they will have markings on the ground. I know I was in a Tim Hortons and they have little stickers on the ground every 6 feet so you know how far to stand away from each other, which is very useful. I'm not sure how that's going to work in a clothing store, but at least in food stores such as Tim Hortons, you can now go inside. The bathroom is now open. So there are steps that we are returning to somewhat normal life. Where the light at the end of the tunnel is there. It's just really dim right now. But hopefully we will be able to move more and more open over the next few months and get back to a new normal.
A new norm, whatever the new norm looks like. Just as an update, the border was closed for another month, which affects obviously us here in the Sioux.
But Northern Michigan's all open.
We wanted to get into that, but we don't have time today. But we do want to talk about the effects of Michigan and Whitmer opening certain areas, how that affects people traveling through. And of course, it's because travel season. It is the tourism there, St. Ignace.
It's Memorial Day weekend coming up this coming weekend in the States.
So she made a business decision. So let's just hope that was smart for everybody.
For sure, because there's definitely some implications of that could affect us here.
Absolutely, being so close. We also had a little story about a Kindness Rock plan that we were going to share with you in the morning. It's a nice little bright story to go through this COVID-19 and pandemic and as we're quarantined. So we do hope that you have a great Tuesday evening. We will be back tomorrow. Chris is on tonight at 7 o'clock.
7 p.m., yes.
7 p.m. And that's too bad about your interview with the doctor from the OMA, but you've rescheduled, so don't miss that. That would be a great issue to watch. So that's it. That's all we have, Chris.
Awesome.
Have a great evening.
Have a good evening, Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma, and we'll see you at 8 a.m. Good night.